taking a quick look at the Hartshorne study questions, review questions for this week. Number one, Hartshorne says that the referent of George Washington and the referent of nothing are not the same. What does this prove in his opinion? Well, I mean, there's a little bit of technical language there. There is a word or term or expression or name that's in parentheses, and that's a linguistic thing. It's words. That's what's in front of us on the computer screen right now. But the referent would be the thing in the world to which it refers. I might have in the video set this out. So if I say the White House, the referent of what I say is that building on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. If I say Mars, the referent of my word is a planet in the solar system. So the referent of George Washington and the referent of nothing are not the same. What does this prove in his opinion? I think it proves, in his opinion, that George Washington is not nothing, that there are two different things. But this, I think that's I think that's the gist of it, that Washington can't be nothing because nothing has a different referent. But what the referent of nothing is, that leads us into all sorts of really kind of tricky, logical, and metaphysical territory, but that's what I take him to mean. Number two, do the dead still exist in Hartshorne's opinion? Here again, I think we're terminologically in kind of difficulties. There are points at which he says the dead don't exist, but then he'll say, but they still have being. So I would say that the answer to this, depending upon your explanation, could be yes or no. They don't exist, in his opinion, but they are something, would be correct. And I think that's the way that he puts it. But that, how can something that doesn't exist still be a something? That's the central question. It was raised by somebody in the discussion board. It's a huge question. So on the one hand, the answer could be no, they don't exist, but they're still something. But on the other hand, the answer could be yes. Yes, they still exist, without acknowledging that terminological difference. So I don't think, depending on what you mean by yes or no, both could be correct. I mean, we could say, well, if Hartshorne is saying that the dead are still something, he must be saying they still exist in some form. So what I'm saying is, it depends. Number three, describe Hartshorne's conception of our existence after death. Well, it's the book of life. Our existence after death, he sums up in the metaphor of the book. And the book is supposedly a record of all our experiences and actions during our lives, recorded more or less in the mind of God. But importantly, that conception of our existence after death is a completed thing. It's the existence of somebody who has been, but is no more. It's the complete record of our existence. It's a permanent part of reality, but it's in the past, or it's a record of past experiences. And importantly, and this is another thing that's brought up in the discussion board, there are no new experiences. There's a last page beyond which there is no more of the book. Very important. Finally, number four, do you find Hartshorne's account of immortality satisfying? Why or why not? Obviously, open-ended opinion question, but I think important one to ask yourself. And what I had in mind was, well, if it's a conception of immortality that doesn't allow for new experiences, then it may be very unsatisfying to you. Most of us, when we imagine an afterlife, imagine something like life. And I think Landsberg and Plato certainly did. So again, this is part of what I was discussing in the overview video for part 4, that it's a kind of a second best or more moderate notion of immortality that does not allow for continuing new experiences like Plato and Landsberg did.